I guess I'll start with my name. The name's Bond, Brandon Bond. So, not the normal introduction. Used to doing the, hey, Mr. Brandon Bond, Kelly Williams. You should already know that by now. But what you may not know is the backstory of Beer with Brandon. Here we are kicking off season 2, and wow, a lot has happened over the last year. One thing that I noticed, we started the show and really didn't give a backstory to it. We just jumped right in, and I figured, hey, season 2, let's go ahead and tell a little bit of the backstory of how we got started, the course we took, where we ended up, different locations, and kind of what we're looking forward to in the future. So without further ado, welcome back to another episode of Beer with Brandon. I'm your host, of course, Mr. Brandon Bond, and no Beer with Brandon show would be complete without, of course, a beer. So if you have time, crack open a cold one and let's get started. So let's go back to 2020. Wow, seems like several years ago. But how we came up with this idea. 2020, we were in the middle of the coronavirus, and a lot of things got shut down. I believe restaurants, bars, businesses, non-essential employees were being told that, you know, you couldn't stay open. And we're sitting at home. I just got into real estate, trying to get my name out there, trying to just really talk to anyone, educate everyone on real estate. And I figured, man, I wish right now, sitting at home, not being able to go to bars and restaurants, essentially, wish I could just have a beer and just talk to someone about real estate. And we couldn't do that. And so it's crazy, but the first episode we started, and it was at the house. Bars weren't allowed to be open at the time, which is crazy to think about that was allowed to happen. But nevertheless, there we were, first episode at the house. Called up my wife's cousin, shout out Jamie Birdsong. Bring your camera over, set it up, hit record. I'm going to invite someone over, sit down, have a beer, talk about real estate. And that's where we started. So we're at the house, right?
Absolutely.
My new series, we're going to start on the 7th of every month, 007, starting on Labor Day. So I called my good friend Nate, which is actually one of my brother-in-law's best friends. He's in the mortgage industry, works at a bank. Wanted to talk about lending. Of course, that's one of the first things. Again, you know, this was supposed to be kind of a relaxed feel. Let's talk about real estate. Let's have a beer. A non-casual, just like anybody would sit in a bar and do. And we did it. After that, I thought one aspect of Beer with Brandon that was really important to me, because considering the situation we were in, I felt that we also needed to include the community. And so I started calling around, and I thought, well, there's this place downtown in Paris, Texas, called Tresors. They sell beer, craft beer, wine, art, and I thought, wow, we can't go to a bar. How about I approach them and let's see if they would allow me to do this show, the second episode, at their location. Dave and Lucy were amazing, allowed me to come in, film a couple of episodes there. So jumped over to a new location for the second episode. Now, my first sponsor for the Beer with Brandon show, Tresors de Paris, in the beautiful downtown Paris, 125 Lamar Avenue. Thank you so much for So it's interesting also, after a couple of episodes, again, we got into a catch-22 at Tresors. they sold beer, alcohol, and wine, but we were concerned that maybe you weren't allowed, or they weren't allowed to drink on site. And to err with the side of caution, we want to do everything right. They decided that, hey, maybe it's not the best place to have this show because they own a business and they didn't want to get in trouble for consuming alcohol on property, which we would never do that. So again, here we were just a few episodes later looking for a new location. And I had just recently found out whether it was showing up, just, going into Time Flies, having a drink. And while we were there, we were like, wow, this place is open. And one thing that we learned was they're serving food. Okay, I guess I missed this living here in Paris. When did they start doing that? And we started asking around, talked to the owners, BA and Chris, and realized, wow, not only was this bar allowed to be open, which intrigued me because of the situation surrounding the economy, but they were serving food. And I found out through the owners that they had to convert their bar license to a restaurant in order to stay open to adhere to the CDC guidelines. And I thought, okay, now this is a perfect fit. I want to have a beer. I want to talk about real estate. No better place to do it than a local hometown bar. So that's what we did. So Time Flies in the beautiful downtown Paris, Texas. And today, so Time Flies graciously allowed us to come in and film Beer with Brandon in front of a live studio audience, by the way. But not only that, I wanted to talk to people about real estate and over a beer, but I also wanted to help the community out. Found out that Time Flies was doing steak night. And by the way, I'll say it every chance I get. If you haven't had the steak at Time Flies, it is the best, not only in town, but probably the area by far. So in order to give back, since they allowed me to come into their restaurant, I wanted to showcase what they were doing as kind of a community thing. And boy, not only was I surprised by the steaks, but so was so many other people. And I felt like it was a good fit, which also prompted me to want to continue that community involvement. Let's just... What kind of cut of meat is this?
This is a U.S. Prime New York strip.
Woo! New York strip.
We go through about 2 a week on a Friday night. Hand cut 14 to probably 15, maybe 16 ounces.
So y'all hand cut these?
We hand cut them. We weigh them out. We wait them out for the first few weeks.
So initially, we wanted to discuss real estate. I wanted to discuss real estate. I'm still new, a couple of years in now, still excited to talk about real estate. I want to educate people. You know, the number one thing that is usually the problem when talking about anything is knowledge and education. And I'm passionate about real estate. There's so many things to learn and know that I wanted to share that knowledge. What I realized in season 1 of Beer with Brandon was that maybe not everybody is interested in real estate. Maybe people are in their forever home and they want to hear something else. Well, that kind of gave me the idea. I still want to be involved in the community. I still want to help business owners out. I still want to help anybody who owns a business who is still trying to keep the doors open, because this past year or two has shown me that no one's going to be on your side unless the community rallies around you, because the government is sure not going to be there for you. So season 2, I would say the goal of Beer with Brandon would be, of course, still having a beer. We like to still talk about real estate, but maybe just a little bit of real estate. I think season 2 is more so about the community. We've been devastated. Small business owners have been hit the hardest by the pandemic. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are trying to help, but I just want to be involved. I don't know how else to be involved, talking about things that I'm also passionate about. So I figured, what better way to get involved in the community to help the hardest hit businesses the last few years. Go in there, introduce the owners, talk about their business, and see if we can rally the community around supporting each other and keeping these places open. All right, I like questions. If I created a craft beer, I would probably go with something like a Pilsner, just because it's a light, crisp beer, something you drink all year round. But I would either call it Backroad Brew, not that we went backroading drinking, no relation, or Bonfire Brew. Flavors that should never be in a craft beer. I would say molasses would be one of those. Licorice, gross. Man, that's a toss-up. If we're going, Eagles would be really cool. Dirty Heads. Any of those that you can just relax, nothing that involves bagpipes or heavy metal.
What city would you host it in?
City I would host it in, of course, Paris, Texas, right? No better place. I do not remember the first craft beer I ever drank. That has been many beers ago, and my recollection is not that great. Maybe due to the beer drinking. Brand. If I was to only drink one brand, that's easy. I like to stay true to Texas. It would be Shiner Bock. Shiner Bock has an array from lights to darks, different every season. I think one of the best seasonal beers comes from Shiner, and it's their cheer. Very amazing, always good to drink, and yeah, I can drink anything from Shiner. All right. Well, so I hope you enjoyed just trying to give a backstory of why we created Beer with Brandon, the intentions, what season 1 looked like, what hopefully season 2 will entail also. Again, the whole point of Beer with Brandon is to highlight real estate, those who enjoy craft beer, and really at the top of the list, the community. We're looking for anyone and everyone who wants someone to maybe help them out with their business, promote their business, or just have a conversation. I'm willing to do that. If you're willing to, give me a call, send me a text, send me an email, Mr. Brandon Bond, 903-609-9178, of course, with Keller Williams Realty. And if you or anybody you know is looking to sell real estate or buy real estate, I'm your guy. Other than that, I appreciate your support. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. And Beer with Brandon always says, please drink responsibly. Y'all have a good one.